Hello, and welcome to the Chat for Impact Education and Learning Bootcamp for 2022. I am Indrani Vedula and lead Impact Partnerships at Turn.io for APAC and India. And I'm joining you from Hyderabad. We have a very exciting lineup of informative and interactive sessions for today's bootcamp, and hope you're all geared up for learning more about the WhatsApp business platform and how it can help scale your existing education service and social impact. And yes, if you are ready to onboard today, we will be running a hands-on session to support you get a live WhatsApp chat service. Let's take a quick look at the agenda. Following the opening remarks from senior leadership at Turn and WhatsApp, we will do a quick introduction to Chat for Impact and the WhatsApp ecosystem. Following which, we have our community showcase, where you will hear from our community members on their chat services, namely Meta's business coach and Olikomats. They will share about how they're using the WhatsApp business platform to drive scale on their learning platforms. We will then move out into breakout rooms to chat through the onboarding process and do a hands-on session on how to get you to onboard the WhatsApp business platform. Next, we will talk through some business best practices to bear in mind when designing your chat service. And finally, wrap up with the information on how to join our community and stay in touch. Next slide, please. This bootcamp will follow a meeting format, which allows for a more interactive space so that you can more easily engage with each other on chat. So before we get started, let's take a quick look at some housekeeping rules to bear in mind. The session will be recorded and we will share the link of the session to all the participants in a follow-up email. Now, due to the number of participants, we are disabling the ability to unmute and share screen for attendees. So please type in your questions in chat only. And our presenters and team members from Turn will be answering your questions as they come through. Chat will be open and will be moderated. I'll now call upon Gustav Prekelt, co-founder at Turn.io, to share his opening remarks.
Thanks, Indrani. It's an absolute pleasure to be able to share this event with all of you, and wonderful to see so many people here today at the bootcamp. As Indrani has said, we're here really today to launch the Education Chat for Impact bootcamp. And today really is going to be a hands-on session to help all of you build educational platforms using WhatsApp to help people around the world connect with information that they need. My name is Gustav Prekelt. I'm the co-founder of Turn. And we've been doing this type of work, connecting people using technology to help them improve their lives for the last 20 years. The incredible thing and the amazing opportunity is over the last couple of years, there's been an incredible rise in the adoption of personal and secure chat platforms, such as WhatsApp. There are now over 4 billion people in the world that connect using WhatsApp in a personal and in private way. And many businesses over the last couple of years have started to use WhatsApp to build commercial services. But we all know during COVID that there have been huge issues around not only health, but also education. Many schools were closed throughout this period, and we need to make up this over the next couple of years. And we think that WhatsApp and Chat for Impact will be an incredible opportunity to build these services to help people. So this is why we're here and why we built Chat for Impact and why we built Turn, is to help organizations scale their impact. And with the help of WhatsApp, we've been able to launch this Chat for Impact Accelerator. I also want to talk a little bit more about what the accelerator means. Today's bootcamp is all about helping you onboard your service and get it live. But we also realize that organizations need help in terms of funding, in terms of support, in terms of technical requirements, and how to create and scale up their service. So we launched the Chat for Impact Accelerator last year to be able to do so. In 2021, we had hundreds of organizations apply, and we helped accelerate 10 organizations to build their services. We're very proud to announce that we are running another Chat for Impact Accelerator this year with the support of WhatsApp, where we will be selecting 20 organizations to provide technical support and unrestricted funding to help scale their service. I would like to add that all of you that are here today that are attending this bootcamp will be eligible to scale your service and to apply for the Chat for Impact Accelerator. So we urge you to do so. You have another couple of weeks. The closing date is the 21st September, by which you need to apply, and the accelerator will run in October and November. With this, I would also like to just take a moment to thank WhatsApp. They've been amazing partners, not only during COVID and supporting the work that we've done with nonprofits and social enterprises, but also with the Chat for Impact program. And I would like to take this moment to introduce a good friend and a colleague, Orlando Watson at WhatsApp, who's the strategic partnership leads at WhatsApp, to talk a little bit about their vision. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Gustav. That's a really exciting update, and I'm happy that we were able to share it with this group. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Orlando, and I am on the WhatsApp partnerships team based in the United States. Wanted to first start off with thanking you all for being here with us today. As Gustav mentioned, since the beginning of the pandemic, messaging has become a critical public engagement channel for governments and civil society to connect with their communities and communicate important information rapidly and at scale. We're honored at WhatsApp to have partnered with Turn.io and breakhelp.org to host Chat for Impact and support hundreds of organizations that are using WhatsApp to provide, to drive social impact, positive social impact across a number of use cases, from education to equity to elections, to health and crisis response and climate, to name just a few. It's been encouraging to see the turnout for this event, and we only hope that this is the beginning of your journey on the WhatsApp API. So thanks again for making time to be with us here today. And with that, I will kick it back over to Turn.
Thank you so much, Orlando. It has indeed been a great journey partnering with Meta and WhatsApp throughout this process of Chat for Impact. Also, iterating what Gustav was saying, this focus would be specifically to get you started today, especially if you're in an educational space and you want to use WhatsApp to have impact. We are going to suggest that throughout this time together today, you can onboard onto the WhatsApp Business API very easily by just clicking the link on the screen. Also, the team will share it within the chat window. We will have a breakout session later as well. If you get stuck, our team is hands-on and will be helping you through that. So in the background, feel free to start clicking on that link and go through the process. Moving on to actually, what are we talking about today? You've heard about the business platform and we've heard about the consumer app, but it's maybe worthwhile just taking a moment to look at the ecosystem of WhatsApp. We all are familiar with the WhatsApp consumer app. That's how we share and communicate with friends and family. Then there's also the small business app, which is super useful if you're a small business owner. It helps you to engage with your restaurant customers, to share your open and closing times, and to have a slight bit of automation that you can respond on those booking requests for your restaurant, as an example. But specifically today, we are focusing on the business platform. Now, what makes the business platform different from the consumer and the business app is that it allows you to engage with millions of users all at the same time. So the focus again for today is looking at the business platform. And for that, you do need to have a business service provider. If you can go to the next slide. Thank you. What a business service provider is a team or an organization that connects you to the WhatsApp business platform. Now, there are many business service providers in the market, and we all work together towards getting consumers and organizations connected on the business platform. Specifically for Turn, and as we are representing Turn today, we are proud to say that we have partnered with some of the world's largest and most impactful social impact organizations. So we go to the next slide, you'll see that you're in good hands. As we've worked with the likes of WHO, the World Health Organization, Vote.org, and Care International. And we look forward to having you and your organization one day in the near future on this slide as we share it with those that we are partnering with. So if we go to the next slide, please. So as we are thinking about WhatsApp, we've now decided that we're going to use the business platform. It's really important to start thinking about what is the problem you're trying to solve. WhatsApp can do many things. So it's always useful if you decide on one thing at first to start. You can always evolve your service as your service grows. For instance, you can decide that you want to inform your customers or your end users about educational content. So it's super helpful then to think about building an automated chatbot. That means that end users will come to your service, they will get the information they're looking for and then leave and re-engage at a later time. You could also decide that you want to support your end users in your educational journey. So in this use case, you will build a help desk. That means that you will have an actual team behind the scenes using a platform like Turns to engage with those customers. A really good example of this, I will show it to you shortly, but think about a typical help desk experience where a pregnant mother is engaging with a maternal health service and you have a qualified nurse at the back end engaging with that pregnant mother. And then another example is to educate. So this is really pertinent to our call today because we're all focusing on education. And here you will work a different journey on WhatsApp. You might want to provide a utility service by creating maybe a math calculator for your end users to use in WhatsApp. So all of these are different ways on how you can create and use your WhatsApp service. We always recommend that you start by this point, defining that is, what is the problem you're trying to solve? Because it can be daunting at times, and having a good starting point is always a good trajectory. If we go to the next slide, please. We'll show you an example of a good informational service. Now, I'm sure most of you might have experienced and engaged with this chatbot, but this is the one from the World Health Organization. It was started in the beginning of COVID when the World Health Organization needed to get essential life-saving information out to as many possible people. They decided to build an informative chatbot where users could engage with this content on a daily basis if and when it suited them. If we move to the next slide, we'll see a good example of a support chatbot. This is specifically for organization Same supporting the LGBTQ+ community, where they are being coached through behavioral and cognitive behavioral psychology, supported through a help desk and a team of really informative and supportive team members on the ground. The next one is an example of an educational bot. This is for Sesamo, Sesame Workshop in Mexico, where they are supporting parents during and starting in COVID to educate their children at home. It provides a wealth of educational tools, videos, multimedia, and it starts to become more of a utility service where a user will come back time and time again because of new content or a new utility being added. So I hope those 3 examples and just kind of taking a moment and thinking about what the problem you're trying to solve has helped you and inspired you to start thinking about the problem that you're solving today. And so when we're later onboarding you, you hopefully should be able to start your WhatsApp service at the end of the session. I'm now going to hand over to David Boat from Meta, who's the Business Educationist Program Global Business Marketing Team, to show us what they've done with the amazing chatbot that they have built. Over to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Happy to be here at the Chat for Impact Summit. I'm Dave from the Meta team. And for those of you that don't know, Meta is the parent company of Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram. And so really excited to share with you all today a little bit about the Meta Business Coach, which is a chatbot experience that we launched last Q4. And just a little bit of background, I work on the skills and training team at Meta. And so our remit overall is to help grow businesses of all sizes, whether they're small businesses, large businesses, students and job seekers, nonprofits, to really understand how to unlock the power of the Meta platforms, whether it's our free tools or our ad products. And so we'll take you through a little bit of a background about the business coach, why we built this in the first place, take you through some of the experience itself, and then talk about what we're doing this year, and feel free to check it out afterwards. So you can go to the next slide, please. So the goal of this bot is chat experience is to give people the power to grow their business with mobile first, low bandwidth, meta ad technologies education through chat. If we go to the next slide, we'll understand why that is. About a year and a half, 2 years ago, the specific business challenge that we were trying to solve was how do we get small businesses that are facing specific challenges around internet connectivity, expensive data, and the fact that mobile penetration is extremely high in many markets that we operate in, where mobile devices might be the only or the primary device. And our existing educational resources are really desktop first, video first, and they're not data conscious. And so the solution for that, at Meta, obviously, WhatsApp is part of our company. We didn't have to look too far into our own backyard to understand that the solution was really right in front of us. We know that WhatsApp is used by billions of people around the world, and small businesses have been using WhatsApp to communicate with their businesses for many years now. We can go to the next slide, please. So just jumping right into the experience, one of the things that we really wanted to make sure that we took to heart when building out this experience as a skills and training team is understand that people learn through different modalities. And so you can see here that our chatbot experience is quite mixed in terms of the modalities that we offer. Of course, we lead with text, but we do have imagery sprinkled throughout the bot, showcasing different products, step-by-step guides that users can screenshot, they can star within the app itself and come back for later use to really understand what are the specific steps they need to do to create different experiences or ad solutions for their business. We also do have some audio and then short form video. We sort of use video sparingly because of the data consciousness part, but what we actually found out through some of our research after launch, excuse me, was that people wanted more video. And so that's something that we're going to be exploring as we move forward. Next slide, please. So this is a brief overview of the actual experience. And what you can see here, you'll see us entering the bot with an introductory message and then going through our onboarding process. And then we do have an offboarding process as well. And so one of the things that's really important that we learned in building out this experience is having clear entry and exit points and making sure that the users really know how to navigate the experience appropriately. But we can go to the next slide, please. So how did we take this to market? And so last year we launched this chatbot educational experience across Africa and India. And we had a robust media mix here. So you can see that we did run ads, of course, across Facebook and Instagram, but also some YouTube, Google, and search. And what we found out is that you really have to test and learn with different go-to-market strategies to understand what works best for you. Obviously, what might work best for Meta or any other company might not work best for others. We also did have partners. We worked with various nonprofits and telco companies to scale this to their small business audiences as well. Next slide, please. And so this is a little video here of one of our ads that we ran, which is really helping small businesses understand that they can bring their physical storefront, their physical business into an online space and really learn how to use Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp to find new customers and to grow their business. And so for our initial campaign that we launched last year, we had about 245,000 people enter the bot. And then we have a specific threshold that we look to have the users cross around a training benchmark. And we saw that just shy of 50% of those people were able to do that, which was really strong for us. Next slide, please. So after we had launched, we actually did run into some roadblocks, and we were sort of wondering why people were clicking on our ads, but maybe not coming into the bot. And so one of the things that we learned was actually when a user clicks off of a Facebook ad, which you can see here on the left-hand side, some users were getting this message confirming that they wanted to leave the Facebook app. And you can see that the URL here is obviously could be a little bit off-putting, might come across as spammy. And so one of the things that we did was optimize that to a shortened URL, so it was a little bit more user-friendly. And then, of course, understanding that users could be prompted to open WhatsApp on their phone. And so just being mindful that there could be multiple clicks to entry into the bot experience is something that you want to pay attention to. Next slide, please. And so moving on to sort of where we're going from our initial launch last year, which again was Africa and India, into this year, it's really about scaling. So we're scaling by adding in new content. So we launched last year with 13 lessons. We've already added another 4 this year, and we're going to be adding some more later on this year. Scaling to geography and language, and then nesting within other programs across our company. And then also linking across our existing website surfaces to drive additional traffic. Next slide, please. And so just to close out, we just in the past couple of weeks, we launched in Latin America. So we have a campaign that actually is up and running, and we're really excited about that, bringing this bot to market in Spanish and Portuguese. And then we've also launched, Meta has launched a hub for supporting Ukrainian small businesses. And we've also translated the bot experience into Ukrainian to support those businesses, get their businesses online, and help them grow. So thank you all so much. If you'd like to check out the Meta Business Coach, feel free to scan the QR code, and of course, happy to answer any questions you guys have through the chat.
Thank you so much, Dave, for that. I must say, it's been such a privilege working with you on this service, and we really look forward to see it continue to grow. As mentioned, we will be taking questions for Dave in the chat, so feel free to ask questions throughout the period of the session together. We'll answer them, and if there's time, we'll get an actual feedback later on to you. I would like now to hand over to Patrick from Olico Mass, who is working from South Africa and has actually built an amazing WhatsApp Maths hotline. Patrick Orani, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm very excited to be here to talk about what we've been doing in the South African educational space. My name is Patrick, and I'm the hotline manager of the Olico WhatsApp hotline. So briefly, I'm just waiting for the screen to come up, then I will go on to share the exciting thing we've been doing in South Africa. Okay.
Screens are up for you, Patrick.
Okay, it's up. Okay. Yeah, okay. I can see it on this side. Okay. I think I'm unable to see it, but I think I can just go ahead to share to talk about it from my side, because I'm unable to see it from here. I'm not sure why. Okay, so Olico is on a mission to make maths make sense for all South African children. The goal of the Olico WhatsApp maths hotline is to put the maths tutor in the pocket of every learner in South Africa. Please, you see, Olico's use case was triggered by the COVID pandemic, an effort to come up with new ways to deliver learning during lockdown. We started by creating a WhatsApp group with learners in 2020 to share a daily lesson and provide lessons with answers and help. The feedback we got during this WhatsApp group, triggered the idea to create WhatsApp Maths Hotline, which is a free service for young high school learners from low-income communities to receive help with their maths. Please, next slide. Thank you. Now I think I can see it. Yeah, cool. Thank you. Okay, next slide, please. You see, there are many research that has been done, and it has shown that school mathematics in South Africa is in crisis. For example, only 1 in 5 learners pass maths with 50% or more on their school leaving exam. So the hotline is a solution that provides access to a skilled and trained maths tutor to learners, also provides helpful learning and lessons, videos, and worksheets. And we also have a growing bank of automated lesson pathways on key topics. Since launch, over 8,000 learners from grade 3 to 9 have accessed the learning content, averaging about 200 learners per day, which speaks to a tutor or use our resources. Our initial target is 10,000 users in 2022 academic year and 25,000 users by 2024. Next slide, please. Since launch, there are some key learning experience we've had. The first is the use of emojis. We realize that this helps us to personalize the experience and make the learning more fun for our users, considering the fact that our users are grade 7 to 9 learners. So the use of emoji was very helpful to personalize the experience. We also make sure that our interaction has some touch of human interaction, which is a core component to ensure a high quality experience for the learners and for continued engagement. Also, we made sure that this hotline has a bit of a one-on-one learning experience. So this provides a safe space for learners to ask their maths questions without the fear of being laughed at by fellow learners. In the next slide, we'll look at a demo on, just an automated section of our service. Please, next slide. Okay, so this is just an automated section of our chat. So a learner sends the word menu and they get 3 options, either to speak to a tutor, get lessons or video, or download worksheets. So if a learner clicks on lessons and video, they are given 2 options, either to test themselves with some math questions or work online. So let's go with the test yourself. So if the learner clicks on test yourself, we have a couple of lessons, patterns, algebra, like terms, and the rest. If the learner clicks on patterns, they are asked if they want to learn patterns, and they are given subtopics under patterns. So they choose the first one, for instance, and they are asked if they want to continue or not. And when they do that, a short video is sent to them. And after watching the video, they are given a prompt, to click on the button ready to start answering the questions. So the good thing is that as they start answering the questions are in multiple levels of difficulty. So in this question 1, the learner got the question correctly, and the next question is a bit difficult than the previous one. And all these are automated. So if the learner clicks and chooses an answer and gets it correctly, a more difficult question is sent to the learner as question 3. So you get the prompt correct. Please answer the next question. So if the learner chooses an incorrect answer, a prompt is sent to the learner and the correction is given on that question. And a similar question is also sent at that particular level of difficulty to the learner. So if the learner keeps getting it incorrectly, like in this case, the learner gets it incorrectly again, the solution is sent to the learner and one more question is sent to the learner. Now, if the learner gets it incorrectly for the 3rd time, the learner is directed to a tutor because this is an indication that the learner is a bit stuck. So the learner clicks on tutor. What happens is that there are tutors available to help. So immediately a tutor sends the message. Hi there, this is Patrick, and how may I be of help to you? Yeah, so this is the automated part that we just want to display today, and then you can access the hotline using this QR code and the details on the pamphlets. Thank you. So perhaps if you have some questions, you can easily use the chat section and drop
Thanks,
your question.
Patrick.
Thank you. Cool.
Just a comment from my side. I love the fact that you have thought about the way that you design your service. Not only did you use a help desk, so that is speaking to an actual tutor, but you've added a utility to it, which is the educational maths journey. So I think a great example of using those two kind of fundamental issues into building your chatbot. We will be taking questions to Dave and also to Patrick at this stage now. So Patrick, here's a question from the Lead by Design team. They said, first of all, fantastic. It's a great chat service. How did you collect information about the students' progress?
Okay, so what we designed on the WhatsApp lesson is that when a learner completes a particular lesson, there is a field we created, like for instance, patterns 1, we created fields that shows that when the learner completes a particular section, we get completed at a particular field. So that is the design we are using, though we are looking at also adopting and implementing other tools on turn, like the goal, which we are yet to work on. But currently now, if a learner completes a lesson, there is a field we created on turn that's under the learner's profile. You can see patterns 1 completed, patterns 2, for instance, not completed. So that is where we see the progress of the learners when it comes to the WhatsApp lessons. Yeah.
Fantastic. And then another question here before moving on to Dave, is this tutor service available 24/7, and how do you manage those expectations from learners?
Okay, thank you for that question. Our service is open 7 days a week, though not 24 hours. On weekdays, it's from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. because we observe that in the mornings, the learners will be at school. So it opens from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. on weekdays. Then on weekends, it's for 12 hours from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturdays and Sundays. Okay, then secondly, how we manage the learner's expectation, the first thing we do is that we let them know that we are here to teach them, to help them understand, not to give them answers to whatever questions that they are bringing to the service. So what we do is that we guide them, we give them alternative examples and, help them understand the concepts behind certain questions. So but upfront, we let them know that this is to help them, just like our mission is to make maths make sense. Thank you.
Fantastic. I love that. And here's a question for Dave. Quite an interesting one is, do you charge at all for the service, Dave? I know the answer to it, but maybe you can speak to that as well. Let's see if we can get you unmuted.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, no, access to all meta education is always for free. So whether it's our chatbot or e-learning, etc., it's always accessible to anybody globally.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So I believe we are now ready to move on to our next part of our session, which we will be sharing soon. One moment. Indrani, over to you.
Thank you, Lisa. Great. So I thought we'll use some time to chat about some of the best practices. And I know when Lisa actually talked about the 3 different kinds of ways of how you can actually use your chat service, we talked about how to define your problem. So now think about, where do you start? So what are some of the things that you need to consider, right? The first thing is think about the content for your service. It needs to be simple. So start very simple. You don't have to have the most detailed version of your service is content ready for launch. You can start simple and edit as you go. Think about creating an FAQ bank, because there's going to be a lot of questions and queries that you would commonly get asked. And all of that can go into an FAQ menu option. And this will really help answer many of the questions that your end users will have. Again, one of the other things to do is to think about the mistakes a user can make when accessing your service. So this can help you anticipate in advance and create ways to guide them back to appropriate menu options for better user experience. Iterating the user journey is basically something where you would need to keep doing testing and seeing, what works and what are some of the common queries that are coming in from your end user. So it is important to test your service before you launch it. So obviously with a smaller group of users or within your internal team even. And understand how people are interacting with your service and, making sure that they're getting the most valued information and that is most, appropriate and accessible to them as well, that easily accessible. Make sure that you're updating your content on timely fashion and not something that would be seen when they keep coming back to it. So this will make sure that end users will re-engage with your content as and when they see more and more fresh, content that's being replaced on, a weekly basis even or a monthly basis. Lastly, review your content periodically. Make sure that it's easy to digest. Making sure that it also, if it's too long, obviously users will start losing interest. So making sure that it's, the right amount of content that is something that end users will come back to engage with, and it needs to be relevant to your end users. You need to think of ways to keep your users engaged. And what you can do is, send them reminders or notifications, which are features within Turn, to all the users who have previously interacted with your platform and have opted into receiving messages from you. And you can also do that by setting up follow-up timers, and that will allow you to nudge your end users within the 24-hour window. And lastly, think about how users will engage with your service. Next slide, please. So there's a question that we get a lot from our clients is, how can users find our service once it is live and out there? For this, you will need to work on a good launch plan. Identify who and where your users are and what would be the most suitable channel to reach out to them to advertise your chat service. Right? You can optimize existing media channels by cross-marketing. You can also use chat tools such as the QR code or the click to WhatsApp links, which we call WAMI links, to increase your traffic. And finally, the most importantly, make sure that you draft a chat service launch plan and allocate proper budget for promotional activities. In the next slide, we can look at a few examples of some promotional campaigns. This one is a click to WhatsApp journey from an ad on Instagram to the WhatsApp service in the end user's phone. The next slide, please. Here you can see promotional videos like on the left that was used by Princess Trust. It is created for a service called Vibe Check. And another good practice involves alternate channels like TV and radio to share details on of their service on WhatsApp. The one on the right is actually a campaign that Sesame ran. Lisa, do you want to try see if you can play that video of Vibe Check? Okay, you can see that there's a call to action. They've also basically shared all the information and a really nice video of indicating what the service is about. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Lisa. Great. We can take a pause here and see if you have any questions on designing your chat service. So please go ahead and post them in the chat window and we will answer them. Again, if you have any questions for David and Patrick on the presentations that they've done, please feel free to add them in here on the chat window. Great. I think we are now ready to move on to the next session.
Oh, there's actually.
Wait, I do
before
see
we
a few questions here.
some
Yeah.
questions there.
Okay.
Is it possible to collect photos and videos from users through the service? I'm happy to answer that. Yes, indeed. Sure. That's the wonder about the WhatsApp business platform, is that you can share and also receive multimedia content. So videos, images. In fact, we had a use case not too long ago where it was the drought and locust outbreak in East Africa. And one of our partners, Mercy Call, actually had a program running with farmers in that area where they asked them to submit photos of locusts that they've seen in the area, and they could use this data to map the move of the locust swarms throughout the period. So definitely available to use that, and we encourage using multimedia.
There's a question on the average bounce rates for these bots. Any standard? Would you know?
I don't know offhand, Hira, but I think that goes for most digital and mobile design services. If your content is relevant and it's engaging, your bounce rate's always going to be lower. I think Indrani touched on the point earlier, is to make sure that your content's fresh. We've all been in that situation when we've engaged with a digital service and come back and it's the same style content. So I think having a plan and using maybe an integration where you can pull in fresh content from an existing source like your Facebook page or from an RSS feed, using our stacks feature is perhaps a great solution for making sure you keep content up to date. So I see there's quite a few questions. What we are going to do, and just in order for time, I'd love to answer that and get the rest of the team also to jump in on that. But I think for now, let's pause on the questions and go straight into onboarding. And Indrani, are you okay with that?
Yes, I think let's do that. I'm just going to kick off the onboarding rooms, the breakout rooms. Excellent. I think all the teams must be here already by now, right, Lisa? Great.
It does look like it, yes.
Okay, super. So if you can go to the next slide, please. Great. So, thank you all for joining us. And I think what we want to do now is to talk about how you can join our community and stay connected with us. So here at Turn, we really believe in the power of community. And it's been a great privilege to work with, amazing organizations around the world, inspiring them to use chat to make impact. And these organizations have become a huge part of our success and have created and fostered an environment of sharing experiences, best practices, and evidence that works. So we're continuously hosting events that are aimed at growing our community through the Chat for Impact bootcamps and monthly town halls. Next slide, please. Here are different ways that you can join and engage with our community. We have our Chat for Impact forum, where a lot of our clients and potential clients reach out to ask questions about how they can solve certain problems through chat. We also have our LinkedIn group, which is where we promote events and general networking. We also conduct weekly product training. So please sign up as soon as you can. And once you're done onboarding, to get to learn the product better and how to start setting up your service. And finally, you can connect with us via our WhatsApp support line, either by scanning the QR code or by sending a simple hi message to the number displayed on the screen. And the partnerships team at Turn will be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have around onboarding or setting up your service. So please reach out to us on our email, which is impact@turn.io. Next slide, please. Great. Our next monthly town hall takes place on the 21st of September. In fact, you just missed our last one, which was yesterday. But these take place monthly and have super interactive sessions where we share new community use cases, the latest product updates from Turn, and community updates and news and a lot more. So please save the date and join us. We're looking forward to seeing you at other events, and we will share the link in the chat for you to register for that. And lastly, we would really appreciate your feedback on your experience with this bootcamp. And just want to let you know that your feedback is very, very important to us as we plan more bootcamps this year. And please click on the link that we will share and take a few minutes to fill it in. It's a very simple 3-question survey form. So if you're able to, share your feedback, that'd be really appreciated. Just going to pop that link in here for you. There you go. Just another reminder again, the deadline for applying for the Chat for Impact Accelerator program is the 21st of September. So you have a good month. And now that you've attended the bootcamp, you are totally eligible to, apply for this. It's $25,000 is what we're giving out to up to 20 participants. It's an opportunity to use those funds to scale your service. So please do apply. And for that, just note that you need to be onboarded and have a live service before the 21st for applying. But yeah, so keep that deadline in mind, click on that link, register, and get started with that process. And we're looking forward to seeing a lot of you there at the accelerator applications. So if you've taken some time, yes, Gustav.
Maybe just a question there. Could you paste the link for application into the chat as well? So I'm just asked for that.
I'll do that right now.
While we're going into questions, I was sharing in our breakout rooms that actually same who we showcased earlier today was one of the last year accelerator applicants. And when they started, they had an idea. They had an idea that they wanted to be on WhatsApp and support end users all over the world. And they actually have recently scaled their organization and their dream into a real WhatsApp service. They're running 3 lines now currently, and they've also recently have received some amazing funding. So use this as a great springboard for your WhatsApp service and having an impactful service in the market.
Ira, to answer your question, all of those, anything around judging criteria and other FAQs are all in that link that I've shared with you. Please go through that. If you have any questions, do reach out. Gerardo, I see you have your hand up. Do you want to quickly ask your question?
Hi, yes, I posted it on the chat. Is there any restrictions on how to use the $25,000 if we're selected as one of the 20 finalists? Or
It's
committee?
unrestricted. I'll take that. It's unrestricted funding. As long as it's restricted only in the sense that you have to use the funding to grow your actual service. So examples could be you could use it to write copy, to develop content, to help with the coding, to build up the service, or to advertise your service. As long as it's being used to actually build or scale your service, it's unrestricted.